Hey everyone, welcome back to the MHP Show podcast. I'm your host, Derek Vickers, and everyone knows on the MHP Show we talk about anything and everything that has to do with mobile home parks, trailer parks, whatever you want to call them. Talk about the crazy stories, how to operate them, and just get a general sense of how this business and asset class works. So I've got a guest with me today, Mr. Jose Garcia. I see this guy on social media all the time. He's the king, man. He is the king. Jose, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Derek, for having me. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure, man. And before we get into, like what you do now and how you help people now, but what was your first entrepreneurial journey that you started on?
Yeah, no, for sure. And you mentioned trailer parks at the intro, so it's kind of funny. I guess some people still call them trailer parks. When I think of trailer parks, I think of Eminem, 8 Mile.
For sure. For sure.
That's more that you don't want to go to the trailer park. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of forbidden area. But yeah, no. So 8 years ago now. 8 years ago, I started. I was in corporate, the typical climb the ladder to success. The biggest lie I was ever fed for sure.
For sure.
Climbing the ladder of corporate meant more time and less pay is what the way I looked at it. So I was always trying to venture into, but my first initial interest was real estate. What was more so traditional houses and condos, and that's what I wanted to do. Maybe I just spent too much time watching HGTV flipping shows. I just wanted to be one more of those guys. But essentially, I was looking for one more stream of income, passive. I didn't care. I just wanted more than what I was doing. But 8 years ago, zero knowledge of this stuff really. No connections, and very much an introvert. Go ask people for money, or that wasn't gonna happen. So I wanted to kind of do it on my own. It's like I got it. I was one of them guys. I can do it better, kind of thing. Another mistake. But I started looking into this real estate deals and houses, and first thing I thought, I don't have this kind of money. How are these people doing it? Again, no connection. So I spun wheels for a while. I mean, probably close to a year, and really came to a realization, this ain't for me. That's why more people aren't doing it. In the many meetup reels that I attended, one person just at random said, "Do it with mobile homes. It's cheaper." And I kind of just ran with that. It's like, well, let me look into that. Now, I grew up partially in a mobile home, but I didn't know how to rehab a mobile home. So two different things. But sure enough, I started looking for where can I buy mobile homes, and of course, Google started showing me mobile home parks, mobile home park. That's where So I thought, well, that's where the majority of, or maybe it was trailer parks
Yeah.
back then,
Yeah.
but it was like that's where they're at. So I guess that's where I have to go. I'll make a funny joke about I would love to go back and hear my pitch, if we can even call it that. 'Cause I'm sure it was horrible. But I remember calling park after park, and here came another no, no, we don't deal with investors. No, we don't deal, so it's like a constant no, no, no. So I was running back to this ain't for me either. Long story short, I called one community that said, "Sure, we have a few sitting some fixer uppers, whatever. You can come and check out." So almost like a surprise to me. It's like, wow, really? Of course, I wasted no time. Next morning, 8 a.m., there I was. And even then, looking at it, from the little I knew, it was like I saw opportunity. That's what I
Mm.
was seeing is opportunity to one mobile home. That's all I need. I will do one, and I wanted to be a landlord. I wanted to own my home. They pay me rent, and we just kind of keep going. So we did. We took on number one very quickly. I realized, started learning. They say you will learn the most and the quickest when you get into the game.
Mm.
So I was in there. There I am trying to hire contractors now. Here's phase number two of problems. The hardest workers in America, contractors, don't like to work or don't like to show up. So
Facts.
now and every real estate investor, park owner, yourself, if you've been in this, the hardest task is contractors. That's just the way it is. I
Facts.
ended up doing it myself. I ended up doing the rehab myself. But it's good looking back because I had to rehab it, put it on the market, and surely it did rent. Move on to my next one. That first year, I ended up with 10 of them that I rehabbed all myself, which has taught me more and more into it. Scaled into it, started getting into rent to owns, creative financing, still doing just onesies, individual mobile homes in communities. And I started doing more. Today we do Airbnb, Section 8, veteran assistant housing, and these things. rentals, weeklies, monthlies. I mean, just any strategy we can within that the communities allow. And we have now scaled into 10 states. We wrote a book. I do coaching, training, we do events, and we did purchase our first park last year as well. So we've come a long ways to go, but we definitely scaled.
Dude, that's awesome, man. And I didn't, when I was on your show, I didn't get to hear your side of your story, but that's awesome. So you were actually in doing the work yourself.
Oh yeah. I say I fired more contractors than I hired, but some I don't know that I even hired because they wouldn't show up. So it was I would get in there, let's get it done. That's all I knew how to do.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. And that's why I love what you do. And I was mentioning this before the shows because I get people that are in my program too. And the people that talk to me, I do like a strategy call with them and they're like, man, Derek, these parks, I need $1 million. Where the hell am I going to get that? I can't even put like my mind around it. And that's why I love what you do because you obviously took the path where you started doing this and then
Mhm.
you made a business out of it and then you were able to go purchase your first park. And that's why I love this is because it's an option for people to get into the business. You can learn some management, some operations and things and learn how the parks work.
Yeah,
So you're building knowledge and you're earning income and gaining cash where you can eventually invest in your own deal. And I love that.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, almost like again, climbing the ladder, only this through the investing side. I mean, you're going to learn a lot as you go up to trying to get this. So, and it's easier to get into than real estate houses because there's a lot less money.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so, how do you battle? And I'm sure you're experienced in this business because you know we've worked with investors in some of our parks. We've worked with some that sucked for sure.
Oh,
Oh, I got stories for days. And we've worked with some that were super professional. They did a fantastic job. They still have houses in our parks today. So,
mm,
what did you have to do to sell yourself as to like, hey? Because most park owners were like, no, we don't do investors. No, we don't do investors. You mentioned you heard that. So how did you combat against that to get around that?
oh yeah. I can't tell you how many no's I went through, but I've always heard for every no, there's a yes around the corner, or maybe
Absolutely.
a yes for every so many no's. But yeah, so now the way we approach communities is a little different. It's the way I see it. It's how can you increase value and be a problem solver? Because if you can add those two things, who's going to tell you no on anything? Not just mobile home parks. But coming into some of these communities, I usually like to do a drive-through review kind of, and it doesn't take long to see the need that the community needs. If you see 20, 30 vacant pads, that's a problem. That's the way I see it. That
Yeah.
that is lost revenue, money that could be made. You're not. So there is one service that I can provide is infill. If I keep driving around and see a bunch of homes boarded up, that's another problem. Not only does it look ugly for the community, but again, you have a mobile home there and they could be making you money. So my approach is more on here's what I can do for you as a park owner, whether you like investors or not. I'm seeing the problem from 20 vacant pads times how much a month times a year. That's how much revenue you're losing. Not to mention you pay taxes. So now you're paying taxes to lose money. That doesn't ring very well. So now there's a need in a sense for you. But you got to do what you say. We have the same here. And even some that I coach, students I call them, if you're not going to perform, just stay out of the way,
Yeah.
because our credibility has come from what I say is what I do, basically.
Yeah. And that's great. And that's where I think we've missed where people they're just they haven't did what they've said that they're going to do for sure.
Yeah, well, it looks easy. Everybody thinks they can do it, but I mean, it's like it's not impossible, but it takes a lot of times. It means getting down and dirty. So, and a lot of people don't care to do so.
Yeah, and dude, I'll even tell you, even homes that we've rehabbed ourselves with our own dime, just
Mhm.
managing those crews, making sure they're
Mm.
not smoking pot in the trailer when you're not there, right? Just making sure that they're doing the job correctly is a task, right? And then it takes time to actually find the right company, get the quotes, and like, so it's a task, and especially if you're new starting out, you got to find all that stuff. I would imagine, like you have a team now. I'm sure it's just boom, you know exactly the process to do, but you're right, it's not easy. And I think we experienced some of this because in 2020 people had extra money from all the COVID stuff that
Mhm.
was out there.
Mhm.
So like, hey, I want to go be a real estate investor. And people got into it and it's like, hey, this is a little bit harder than we had anticipated. So that's good that you do that, man, because I actually love working with investors because it's all right. If I've got 10 vacant park owned homes that I've got to put 10 or 15 grand into and time and to deal
Mhm.
with the aforementioned stuff,
Mhm.
like if someone else can come and do that for me, that's freaking awesome. So I love the value you provide, especially with you're doing it right. So
Yeah, and I mean it can be a win-win for sure. And I mean getting back to the contractors a little bit, Ron, I have 13 crews right now. And I mean, it's like, yes, they're better than it was going on, but it's like it never ends. It's almost many times I feel like you're a babysitter. You're
well,
going around the room and it's like it's constant. Something is always going on. So no, I mean, yeah, for somebody like you who's more focused on parks, definitely dealing with that one clown contractor that wants or not wants to work, you don't want to deal with that.
yeah. No, you don't. And then you mentioned something about infill. So explain how you solve that problem for park owners.
Yeah, so a couple options that I typically use with park owners just depends on, which route they want to go. So the one way is I can just provide you inventory. And I don't provide brand new inventory. If a park owner wants, brand new, you go to Clayton, go to Horton, they can take care of you there. To me, it's more so park owners who want to infill but don't want to pay an arm and a leg. We can typically find homes that are similar to what they have in their communities, the late 90s, early 2000s, in decent condition. And you mentioned social media. We're all over social media because that's where our deals inventory comes in. We can actually locate homes nearby the community, which saves transportation. And then
Mm,
what I do is we'll get all the details, specifics, and I'll reach out to you. Hey, Derek, here's what we found you at this week. A couple of single wides, whatever, and we just basically sell them to you. You take
mm,
them, you get them moved, and we go about it that way. Another way that we do, and I'm doing a lot of this with a few park owners here in Georgia, is they will pay for the transportation and setup. But if they're going to welcome me in their park as an investor to take on fixer uppers, it doesn't benefit them for me to bring a fixer upper and then they have to
right.
handle. So what I do is here, you pay for the transportation for the setup. I will bring the homes. Once they get there, we'll rehab them same way in the criteria. And then all you're responsible is for that fee up front of moving.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And what states are you doing that in currently?
All southeast. So North, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, Georgia. We're now in Louisiana. Should be getting into Texas soon. We're in Iowa. Next week I'll be in what is it? I'm going to Missouri. So it's weird. I'm landing in St. Louis, Missouri, but I'm traveling to Marion, Illinois. So we're going to be there as well. And then what else? Kentucky. Somerset as of last week. Somerset, Kentucky.
Oh, cool. Cool. And so essentially, just so I'm understanding this right, if we've got 10 vacant lots, I say, hey, Jose, we've got, 10 vacant lots, 160 foot, 165 feet, whatever it is. Right. We need single wides for these, and you'll go find them, whether it's a handyman and then you bring it in and fix it up.
Mhm.
And then in that, on that particular one, we would negotiate, I'm assuming some amount of lot rent concession until that home is fixed up, right?
It depends. So if you pay for the transportation and setup, I don't feel like we should ask more. I mean, that's a fair trade. You're saving
Yeah.
us the fees plus the permits, whatever. And then I would say the following month, the lot rent begins on those, whether we're done or not. But my crews, we're pretty efficient.
Yeah. How long would you say? I know it depends on how, like, if the house has got a tree growing through it or not, how long it takes you to fix these bad boys up.
From a week to about 3 weeks. No
Okay.
home should take more than a month. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's some of the problem that we've ran into too, where guys were like, hey, yeah, we'll be done in a month. And then, here we are 90 days later, 120 days later, and hadn't been much movement on it. So it's like,
yeah.
all right, what are we doing here?
Yeah, yeah. So no, no. I mean, and again, that's one of the many things that I teach is, if a contractor gives you 2, 3 months worth of, there's not much to be done in a mobile home, even if it's a big job, because mobile homes are simple, and if you're steady at it, you can't help but to finish it. So
Right. Right. And so on the other side, if we have 10 homes that we want to rehab, right? And so we would just sell you those homes, right? And then you're going to pay the lot rent, but you're going to come in and fix up the homes and then bring people in
mhm.
to what do you look for as far as like the delta between the lot rent and the home rent? Like how much do you like to get?
Yeah, so different markets, different numbers. I like to get at least, a worst case scenario, I say it is half, So if rental rates are at 800, lot rent is 400, I don't mind splitting. 400 goes there, 400 to us. If we were to take homes like that from you, obviously we would pay you a whatever you're asking, we agree upon. And then the security to you is that obviously you can't have that mobile home leave the park, or it's no
Yeah.
benefit to you. So what we do is we put an agreement for the next 5, 7 years that a home has to stay here, and you're going to collect those lot rents, obviously. Now, me, when I do any agreements like that with the end buyer, the resident, typically we do a financing, create a note, whatever it may be. And again, the security to the park owner is that we will pay the lot rent. We'll pick up the lot rent and the payment because we put it all together from the end buyer. And then we want to make sure that rent is getting paid to you. If we have to evict them, do foreclosure, whatever that state county requires, we will handle that. But you don't miss a beat on the lot rent.
Got it. Got it. And that's great. I mean, I know because that's some fears that people have, and that sounds like that system would work really, really well. It's a win-win situation because a lot of times we don't like those 10 houses that are sitting there. It's like, oh gosh, you got to fix those up because no one's gonna. Some people may buy them and come in and do something to them, but someone like you with an operation could come in and take that off your hands. And so in a good market, like some of the markets we're in, lot rent's $800. So you would want to be able to rent it for 1,600, basically.
No, no, no. So, oh, well, lot rent. Oh, well, lot rents are 800 a month.
Yeah.
You're talking about Florida, some in the beautiful
Yeah, yeah,
areas, I
yeah.
assume.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, I would start by finding out what the area, the markets are. We have two homes in Venice Beach, Florida,
Okay.
and the lot rent is 925, I believe, but
Yeah.
we're collecting like 1,700,
Yeah.
on the RTO. So yeah, it's got to be the spread there. I mean, a mistake I made early on was I jumped into a market. I don't know if you're familiar with Columbus, Georgia, and I'm going to use your word. It sucks. I mean,
Yeah.
it's terrible. So jumping in, I did no research. I'm going to come in with my numbers, and quickly I realized lot rent was almost as high as rental rates. So
Uh,
that didn't work out. I had to leave out of there. But I think we're collecting $100 a month per house. That's can't do that.
yeah. Yeah. You gotta in some of these markets in Florida, dude, like it's wild what like people will pay for RTO and things like you can do really well for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, lot rents down there are. I don't know. People paying them. I mean, that's the place to retire. So
Yeah, but like if you think about it, dude, like so Venice Beach, how much is a two-bedroom apartment to rent in Venice Beach? I'd have to imagine
oh,
2,500 bucks at least.
easily got to be.
Easily.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that's the interesting thing is like, I hear about in this business where it's like, hey, when is the affordable not become affordable? And I'm like, well, it's sort of a product as long as that two-bedroom apartment is still climbing, like it's still going to climb with it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I know in Tampa, dude, for 1,500 bucks, you're going to be in the ghetto, in the hood, and it's going to be a nasty like place, right? And so we're
yeah.
way below that still.
It's unreal, and we keep hearing about that. The numbers, which to me and you, that's a great thing because there's more need of for our products. So, but yeah, no, some of these numbers are outrageous. Here in Atlanta, I know a lady was telling me she was happy we rented her a two-bedroom, $800 in Griffin, Georgia, and she was paying almost 2,000 on a one-bedroom. Like, wow, just I
Wow.
mean, people do it. I mean, but yeah, opportunities there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So how many houses do you are under your control right now?
How many mobile homes do I have?
Well, mobile
Yes.
homes, mobile homes. I always call them houses, dude.
Well,
Whenever
yeah.
I was posting a video on YouTube going through a vacant home and like I was talking about, yeah, this house is this. And one guy commented, was like, man, this guy must be a great salesman because that's a mobile home, not a house. And I'm like, dude, whatever, it's a house.
Yeah. Well, that helps the stigma. We're gonna
Yeah.
start calling them houses versus yeah. So right now we have right over 800 at this time, and that's between multiple parks. That's not counting my little park that I have. My goal is around, I want to say around 2,000 is what I can see right now.
So that's 800 of these things
800 individual mobile homes. Yeah.
that you're collecting some sort of arbitrage from. And what's
Well,
your
where there's rentals, rent to owns. Yeah.
Yeah, and how do you manage all that?
Oh man. What did my coach say? Joseph Michele, managing chaos. That's my term for me. I like pain, and apparently I go after it. So I am in the process of hiring more agents and admins and to help me do so. But I mean, there's a lot of sources out there that help with that. I mean, like I
Yeah.
mentioned, Rent Butter has helped us a lot with the screening. We are about to be in Rent Manager. So I do have people in place to manage some of these. But the good thing about the RTOs, rent to owns, creative, whatever, it's like those are really more like a bank. And we tell people this is like, we are a bank. We're not your landlords. We're not going to fix things where, so anything breaks. I love those because of the less responsibility. And
Ah,
a lot of these, majority of these RTOs, I don't ever hear from them ever. And then no, hey, buy nothing. And I mean, I'm okay with it. So as long as those payments keep coming in, and they do. So
yeah.
that helps a lot of, I don't have to manage that. They handle their home and it's good to go.
Wow. Wow. And what percentage of the 800 is that? Is it like a note?
Three quarters.
Three
I
quarters.
can, yeah. I'm selective as to where, and again, it's a lot of that is even for the community. A lot of communities don't care for subleasing, which I'm okay with. But I've always said, you have a renter mentality and a homeowner, and
Yeah.
that renter has that typical. Not all of them, but the majority of them are. I don't care. It's not my home. So
Right.
we try to venture away from that typical neediness of landlord and tenants don't care. So I will keep a set amount, but the majority I rather do homeowner financing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I'm doing the math here and 800 homes at let's say 400 a month in profit, that's 320 grand a month.
Yeah, we're way below. Well, we got to step that up somewhere. So,
That's right, dude. We got to keep going, but that's freaking awesome, dude. Like I commend you for doing that because I can tell that you got your shit together. You know what you're doing and you don't play around. And I love that. So that's the title for the episode. I make 4 million bucks a year flipping mobile homes or something like.
I make $4 million a year. Lonnie Scruggin, Lonnie Scruggs
Lonnie
is who
Scruggin.
invented this.
Lonnie Scruggin. Oh, there we go. I love that. Title.
Yeah,
Title gotten. Title gotten.
you know what? I was talking to a park owner, Jason. Can't remember his last name, and he is in Oklahoma. And he was talking about, a lot of this, and I know you see this down in your area, is a lot of these communities are a mix between mobile homes and campers, RVs.
Yep.
And the majority of Airbnbs that we're doing is in campers, but there's
Yeah.
not so many here. So that's also another strategy that, and it's a lot easier to move them. No permits, inspections needed. I mean, you go to Lowe's and rent a truck and you can haul that yourself per se. So, that's another avenue that we're trying to push more for. But in speaking to him, apparently up there, it can be a mobile home or a camper. So, that's just one more opportunity.
Yeah. So how would you do that? What would that like? You would go buy a camper, put it on my lot, and then rent it out to somebody.
Exactly like you said, I pay you your lot rent, like most park owners tell me. I don't care. Don't destroy it. Don't be loud. Pay me my money, and we're good. Tackle it on.
Yeah, I like that, man. I got an RV park under contract now, dude. I'm like,
Really?
there's a few
Okay.
vacant lots in there, man. We might have to talk.
And it's like surprises me how many people like that. Me personally, I think campers are nice, but I guess I have a claustrophobic issue. After a while, I'm like, man, this is too small in here. I got to get out. But people love this tiny house sitting in little
Yep.
compartments, and I mean, it's like, and they just stay rented and rented. It just, hey, as long as they like them, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, yeah, dude. That's and it's crazy to think about, but I've even seen it. I mean, it's like people are loving that. There's this cool little tiny home community. There's one I think outside of Auburndale and one in Orlando that
Okay.
it's just a cool little place. But the tiny home, like RV, I can do an RV, like a fifth big ass fifth wheel. Like I can do that. But the tiny
Yeah.
home, dude, it's like this little room here I'm in right now is bigger than the tiny home that I've seen. It's like crazy.
Yeah. 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 No, and it's, yeah, I've seen them. I love when families live in them. I don't see how that happens, but yeah.
Yeah. So I was on, I saw you post them one day and we talked. I saw you were pulling up to the mobile home park in a Lambo. And I said, dude, this is my kind of guy. I got to talk to this dude. So I'm curious is like, what kind of like, what happens? Does nobody cares? Or is it just like, what happens when you pull up in a Lamb?
I don't know. I didn't have toys as a kid, maybe, so I like to have fun as an adult with
Absolutely,
toys.
man.
And it's like I like doing things out of the ordinary.
Ah,
Nobody thinks to do something like that. It's just funny. I was just telling my wife, I would not hesitate to jump on top of my Corvette and change a light bulb. Like it's not ruining anything. It's like we have this so curious. It's just product, but it's funny. It's humorous when I pull up into something like that with the Vet or the Lamborghini. I mean, adults look at me weird, kids love it. So
oh, of
I
course.
don't know. It just creates a conversation. I'm just looking at homes I invest, let them know. And at the end, I think it builds. Maybe one of them kids has a TikTok that's viral and they catch me on it. I don't know, boost me up.
Yeah, yeah, dude, it's awesome, man. And I think, I love that stuff, man. I mean, I feel like you should have fun. I grew up in like around tractors and freaking, my high school, we had drive your tractor to school day, if that explains anything, where people drove their freaking tractors to school.
Wow. Well, where was this?
This was in it's well, Grottoes, Virginia, and Penlaird, Virginia. So,
Okay.
we had a
Yeah,
blinking
yeah, yeah.
light in town.
A little more country out there. So
Little more country, dude. Lots of chickens, cows, there's dairy farm, like all kinds of stuff, dude. All kinds of stuff.
yeah, no,
Um,
no, no, for sure. I agree. I mean, easier said than done, but it's like I like to have fun because this business can get stressful. I mean, there's days I want to pull my hair out. It's my gosh, you just keep pushing. But any chance I get to break off, and I'm gonna go for a laugh today. As I have at it. So
yeah, for sure, for sure. And I got to keep I think I might have mentioned it on your podcast, but I got to keep my high and tight here because the gray starts to come in, and that shit didn't happen until I got in the mobile home park business. And I'm like, dude, I
yeah,
feel like I don't even get that stressed. I mean, maybe I do a little bit, but I feel like I can stay even keel. But sometimes you're right. Like maybe you get like a knucklehead tenant that just like is very hard headed. They can't hear logic. Like logic just doesn't register in brain up here. And then that's a little like frustrating. I'm sure you've dealt with that.
plenty, plenty. Never. I mean, stories that we could share on here with tenants alone, and it's like little things, but somehow blow up and attention time headaches. I mean, they come with it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What's one of your craziest? Maybe give me two stories. Craziest. I know you got more than two, but I want to hear a crazy story of something you witnessed, something happened, something that someone said.
Well, this morning itself, I can tell you about one that we're dealing right now where we're having to evict. So the tenant. So apparently the tenant lives in this community. He's peaceful, never stirs anything. He just keeps to himself. The typical, these are holy people. Apparently, there was an altercation issue. Somebody drove through and almost hit one of their kids or something, whether it's true or not. Long story short is he had to drive chase him down and apparently pointed a gun at him
Oh,
because the guy was swinging back or just stuff like that. Like, it's like I say at the end of my career here, I'm going to need a lot of therapy to clear up a lot of the stuff that I've dealt with. So, but that stuff like that, I mean, that's all done every day. I'll get calls, and not as much now, but I used to get calls where, hey, there was a couple of dogs running through my front yard, or just adding on. I was like, what do you want me to do? Like,
Yeah.
running to let them go. So
Yeah.
somebody broke into somebody's house, or just oh my gosh, my second book is going to be about stories in mobile home parks.
Ah, yeah, we should do like one of those little like collabs on that because I got a couple guys that are like on the show and they bring these stories. I'm like, man, we got tons for days on these things.
Yeah, no, never a dull moment inside of a community.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of the book, tell us a little bit about the book. Like, what's it about? When did you write it? What inspired you to write it?
Yeah, inspired me. I was told it was going to take about 3 months, and it taking up about 13 months. So that, and that's a lot because I didn't have the time to. But basically, I coach this stuff how to become a Lonnie dealer, investor in onesies, individual mobile homes, and I wanted to put it all together in one format that people could afford. The I don't have money, I don't know how to do it. Here, let me give you one more reason to take the excuse away because that's all it is. You don't want to do it.
Yeah.
If you wanted it, you would have it. Simple as that. So I wrote it on the 7 fundamental steps that I take from getting the branding, marketing, a deal, to talking to sellers, to dealing with contractors like we talked about, to doing closings. Mobile homes and real estate are two different things. So I'll point that out strictly as to you're basically dealing with cars is what you're doing, to getting your next deal and strategies, and just formulate it into one book. So it's a step by step how to get your first or next deal. And it's again, it's affordable, if you will. It's $20 on Amazon. There's
Hmm.
no excuse. But it did build credibility. I do always have a coach and a mentor, and one of them pushed me harder. Having a book on this or what you're doing, in this industry, which they love it. All my coaches, mentors have always said you're in a very unique, special field. They felt. It did add that credibility too, and it's worked. So some of the park owners, they said, "Are you the guy, the actual guy on the book?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's me." So it's whether it's gotten me deals or not yet, I think it's growing through that. So
For sure, dude. It definitely does something for credibility because, like, when I talk to sellers, I'm just like, yeah, just look me up, man. It's like, oh, you got a podcast? I see you posting stuff on
yeah,
Instagram. You got a YouTube channel. Like, they can get to know me before they even get to know me,
yeah.
right? So that's a huge credibility builder. I think it's great, man. One thing I wanted to ask you, go check out the book on Amazon for $3, by the way. I mean, come on, dude. The guy's giving it away. Um, you mentioned a couple times here, and I love about coaches and mentors because I guarantee you there's many people in the United States or the world that would get to your position and be like, dude, I don't need no more coaches and mentors. Talk about the importance of that and how that's helped you get to where you are.
Oh, huge, huge. I've been asked, if you had to do it over again, what would you do different? Would you do something different? And I tell them, no. Mobile homes, forever will be a thing I like. I think, especially a need, a service, a value. But I wasted a lot of time at the beginning trying to figure out things, how to do certain things. And you and I both know you can get money back, but you can't get time back.
Right.
That's the most important thing. So if I had to do it over again, I would say get a coach, get a mentor, get somebody doing something you're trying to do that you can, maybe take them under the wing and show you that, because that's going to save you time and show you that's what a coach and mentor is. Somebody who can show you, things they've been through, been there, done that, and save you time and save you headaches. So, huge. And it doesn't matter what level I get to. Getting to the next level may just mean getting a different coach, getting a different mentor, because and I don't like the term I've grown, but it's like I'm venturing into bigger. So I need somebody higher to coach me, but it should never end. And the thing when I'm looking for coach and mentors is, nobody knows it all. Things are
Right.
always changing, things are always happening. So if the coach or mentor I'm trying to get the coach or mentor me does not have a coach or mentor, I'm gonna have a little red flag of that.
Ah,
Everybody needs their coach or mentor.
for sure, for sure. And I am in total agreement with that. I've had many coaches and I still do today because you need that person and mentors to get
Mhm.
you to help fast track you because like you said, you can't get time back. And if you're sitting
Mm.
here listening to this and you're like, I don't need a coach or mentor. Well, you need to look at yourself. You need to look at yourself. Like, let's
Yeah.
be honest, dude. If you're not on the Forbes 400 list, you need a mentor. And I guarantee you those guys on the Forbes 400 list have mentors of people that are higher on the Forbes 400 list.
Yeah. Well, and no, I mean, that's great. And a lot of times that may not even be teaching you. It may just almost holding you accountable. The example I like to use is like, look at all these pro athletes. You got Michael Jordan, you got, all these. Why do they have a coach if they're so good and number one at what they do?
Yeah.
Because everybody needs a coach. So,
Yeah, for sure, dude. I think that's awesome, man. That says a lot about you as an individual. So, well, Jose, dude, I appreciate you coming on, man. I always enjoy talking to you. I had a great time on your podcast. And anything else you want to leave the audience with? Anywhere where people can find you or whatever you got?
sure. Yeah, you can visit my website, garciamhu.com. All of our links are there. And like you, we're on TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can find us everywhere. It's final message, is just get it done.
Mm.
So many people procrastinate, and definitely 2020 did a wonders of creating more of that. But it's like you want a better future, better yourself starts with you. So get into it and get it done.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on, and thank you all for watching the MHP show. We are on every Monday. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you all next week. Peace.